So welcome everybody. And after 2 weeks that we had a break out of our lessons, of course every Shabbat we have lessons Friday evening and then Saturday morning right after the Torah reading. But with the general holidays we had a break. So I'm so happy that we came back together to study together, to join and to enjoy each other. And with full force. Yeah, I hope that everybody recharge your batteries and we're moving on. Good. Today's lesson, we said we're going to talk about Jews, Sephardic Jews, Ashkenazi Jews, and it seems that our lesson today is mainly about history and practices, DNA maybe, but actually, we're also going to have a spiritual component to our lesson today. Because even in our today's lesson, we're going to have what we can call Torah study. And hopefully, each and every one of us will be able to take something with him, with her, back to your own life. So let's start with definition. Definition of Ashkenazi Jews, of Sephardic Jews. What does it mean? Where it's starting from? Okay, so Anna said, okay, Ashkenazi Jews are Europe, and then she wants to say that Sephardic Jews are coming from the eastern parts of somewhere. But then we've been told, hold on, but Sephardic are coming from the word Spain, because in Hebrew, Spain is Sfarad. Sfarad is Spain, so Sephardim, Sephardic Jews are coming from Spain. Spain's also Europe, so we're in a dilemma. So both are from Europe. What's going on? Okay. Any more suggestions?
I think Ashkenazi Jews, the region around North France, Germany, also east of Germany, and Sephardic you told already is the region of Spain till the Inquisition.
So correct. The word Ashkenaz, it's the Jewish name to the region of Germany and maybe some of France. So the name Ashkenaz, Artsot Ashkenaz, the lands of Ashkenaz, it's part of Germany. It's Prussia, of course, right? Because it's before we had Germany. And some of France, right? And then, of course, Spain and Portugal are together as Spanish Jews, but we're going to talk about it a little bit more in a second. We said Ashkenazic Jews coming from Ashkenaz, right? Germany, France. Sephardic Jews, we said Spain and Portugal, but we have a problem with that because, for example, Sephardic Jews, you say also you call, or Eastern Jews, you call the Jews that are, for example, in North Africa, Morocco, Algeria, and so on. And in Africa, for example, Libya and even Egypt, the Jews of Persia, today's Iran, Iranian Jews, and those that from Babylonia in Iraq, many of them came there during the exile of the Jews from Spain and Portugal. We're talking about the end of the 15th century, right? 1492. But many Jews not connected to that. In Persia, you had their own Jews that are there for generations. And in Iraq also. And even in Morocco. So many came from Spain. But you have the Berbers Jews that have been there long before. And I'm not talking about, for example, the Italian Jews that are in Italy since when the Second Temple still was standing in Jerusalem. But the Italian Jews already was there. I tell you something, I tell you even a secret. So as Spain, and I didn't say it in Russian, so only you will know. When the exile from Spain started, so some of the Jews of Spain, they got till Libya and want to go back to Europe, to Italy. So the local Jews came to the Pope and tell them, here money, tell them no. He took the money and tell them yes and took money from them also. But and since today's day, you have the huge, beautiful synagogue the Italian synagogue in Rome, and you go down to the basement and you have a small Sephardic synagogue of the Libyan Jews till this day. Actually, their Rabbi he just passed away the previous year. His wife is a very good friend of my wife. She's a historian, so this is how we know the inside stories. But so we cannot really say, oh, those Sephardic, those Ashkenazic. What about the Jews of Ethiopia? The Jews of Ethiopia. In India, some of them came from Spain, but some of them came much longer. So to say that Jews are Europeans, no. We went through, most of us, not all of us, but most of us went through Europe, yes. The Sephardic, what you call the Sephardic Jews, after the exile from Spain and Portugal, so yes, some got to Italy, to different parts of Italy, to Libya, to the north of Africa, and to Asia, to Turkey. Today's Turkey, I mean, to the Ottoman Empire, Ottoman Empire, and to all over.
To Latin America.
As well. So in that sense, to say we are Europeans, no. Many Jews went through Europe, not all of us. Not all of us. Some Jews got straight to Asia, or straight to Africa, or straight even to America. The Americas, right? But most of us went through Europe. So, again, how can we understand who's Ashkenazi and who's a Sephardic? So there is a suggestion that we say, okay, Ashkenazic Jews, the ones who lived under the pressure and the horrors of Christianity, of the church. And the Sephardic, the ones who lived under the terror and the horror of the mosque, of Islam. But it's also a problem, because the Sephardic itself, the Sephardic themselves, they went out of where? Of Spain. Who exiled the Sephardic Jews out of Spain and Portugal? The church. Right? Bulgarian Jews considered to be Sephardic. The Jews of Greece, Salonique and so on, considered to be Sephardic.
There was a Sephardic Ladino newspaper in Greece before the World War.
Right.
So
Actually, Ladino, it's one of the Jewish languages. We're going to talk about it. As we have Yiddish, which is German, Jewish German, Ladino, it's Sephardic German, but it's one of two. You had Hakatia or something like this. But also you had Jewish French and Jewish Arabic. So it's Sephardic, Ashkenazic, all of us doing the same. A local language that we write in Hebrew, or Hebrew that we write in Latin or Arabic letters or Cyrillic letters. And the words are mixing up, so you see it everywhere.
It's like there are 50 known Judeo languages.
Yeah.
So
There are a lot, but yeah. So we see also Ashkenazic Jews living under the Islam. For example, in Israel, the small part of Jews that lived in Israel all the time, usually most of them are Sephardic Jews, but not all of them. You had always also Ashkenazic Jews living in Israel under the different Islamic empires that used to rule the Middle East. So we also cannot distinguish between Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews just based on where you are from geographically or with which religion you needed to deal with. Okay? There is a joke, it's a sad joke, but it says that during the time of building Israel and Ben Gurion, suddenly all the Jews that are not Ashkenazic, they realized they are Sephardic. So only then it became, you are a Sephardic Jew, or you are a Middle Eastern or Eastern Jew. Because the elite around Ben Gurion and so on, it was mainly Ashkenazic Jews that went away from tradition, right? And the focus was to bring people like them, mainly to Israel. You said with the Chada'am and so on and so forth, Maybe we can do sometimes lesson about Tzionut, about Zionism, and how it started and so on and so forth. Ashkenazic, Sephardic, religious, not religious. It's very interesting, but it's not our topic today. But really, so you didn't really have the difference. There's a saying of my teacher, Rav Uri Sherki, is saying that the difference is that Ashkenazic Jews lived mainly in cold weather, and Sephardic lived in more warm weather. So this is one difference that you can see in temper and personality. The second thing, of course, that most of Ashkenazic Jews lived with a pressure or a dialogue with Christianity, Sephardic mainly with Islam, and that the Ashkenazic Jews used to study mainly the Talmud, the Gemara, and Sephardic Jews studied more Mishnah, and those things influenced the personality of those groups. But again, it's a very, very general idea. We're going to touch some details today. So my question is, let's go to the beginning. Beginning is always important. So as Ashkenazic Jews, we try to put a lot of small groups into one big group, because Ashkenazic groups are Litvaks and Yeke, and Hasidic Jews are all Ashkenazi, but they are completely different in many, many ways, right? And the Jews of England and Germany you have differences, or those that in Russia and Ukraine, you have differences. Also the Sephardic Jews, the ones that lived in Baghdad, or the ones who lived in Khaleb in Syria, or Bukhara, right, or the mountain Jews, yeah, they have their differences. We try to put all of them in one basket as a Sephardic Jews, but they're all very different. Okay, that's fine. Why? Because wherever we live, we have different things that we absorb from outside, and you need to adapt, you need to survive, and then it's different. Okay, that's fine. We're starting the division of Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews. Not everybody together. We know that during the first temple, the second temple, you never heard of Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews. We are all from the Levant. We are all from the Middle East. And even when you already have a diaspora, so you have a big diaspora in Babylon, in Iraq, in today's Iraq. You had a big diaspora in Egypt, in Alexandria, for example. You had a diaspora in Italy, but they're not. When you need to choose who's going to be your high priest, your Kohen, you don't say, oh, take Ashkenazi Kohen. No, take a Sephardi Kohen. You don't have it. In that sense, you have today Kohanim and Levim in the Sephardic communities and the Ashkenazi communities. But they're both Kohanim, so they're both actually from the same tribe. Literally, by DNA. By DNA. They are not Jews in that sense. Kohanim and Levim are not Jews, are not Yehudim. The Yehudim because from the Judea. But they are not coming from the tribe of Judah. They're coming from the tribe of Levi. They have their own DNA. By a lineage of their father. So in that sense, no Ashkenazic Sephardic in any way. You had different groups fighting each other for the temple also, but it was more a religious way of fighting, because you have the main course, as you said, the main group, the Purushim, but then you have the Tzdokim and the Karaim and who will have the money and the influence and so on and so forth. But not Sephardic Ashkenazic. So where Ashkenazic and Sephardic came to this world?
So you already named a time. It's pretty late, probably. It's the time of 1592, when in Spain the Catholic.
So actually it started before that, but and we're going to dive into it right now. Just to give us an example. So you used to be a huge rabbi, Harosh, Rabbeinu Asher, our Rabbi Asher, that came out of Ashkenaz to Spain. He needed to run away. And he's not the only one. There are also other rabbis like this. And in Spain they saw, wow, such an amazing, such a big rabbi, such a sage of Torah, and they took him as a rabbi. And even till this day, halacha, the Sephardic halacha, the Rosh is one of the three pillars that on them standing the Shulchan Aruch. So it's not that simple that the vision, let's divide Ashkenazic Sephardic, it's not so simple. It's new, it's not too new, it didn't start yesterday, but we're going to go now to the roots. But where actually it started, nobody can put a finger on it. When actually started, Sephardic, Ashkenazic, you never had it. The base is the same base till this day. The prayers, the core is the same core. Around it you have differences. Because we live in different places, so you have different melodies and different tunes and different ways to speak. But the core is the same till this day. In that sense, I can go to Sephardic prayer and I will know what to do. If I know prayer, I know prayer. It doesn't matter. Now we see it also with food, right? So Ashkenazic have some food, mainly potatoes and and some fish. And Sephardic have food, right? So anyway, okay. So I would like to read with you, actually not to read, but to summarize an article of Rabbi Kook, the rabbi, right? The rabbi of the previous generation, our rabbi. For those who do not know, Ashkenazic rabbi coming from Vinsk, Daugavpils in today it's in Latvia, and later became the chief rabbi of Israel. He's the one who created the chief rabbinate of Israel. And he have a beautiful article that called L'Shnei Batei Israel, to both houses of Israel. Why both houses? The house of Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews. We're not going to read the article because it will take more time than we have, but I would like to summarize with you. And just as a side note, so during the time of Rav Kook, also you had a different Sephardic rabbi in Israel. He became later the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Uziel. That if Rabbi Kook saying that each group should keep their own practices, and it's fine, it's beautiful, and we need both. Rav Uziel, for example, he tried to combine both, but in a beautiful way. He didn't say, you need to be all like me, all Sephardic, or all Ashkenazic, no. But he really tried to find the silver lining between two groups, because he had the idea that now that we're in Israel, we should have a one type of practice, so we take from here, from there, and so on. Of course, there is a third type of rabbis that used to say, no, everybody needs to be like me. And some of them actually succeeded with breaking or spoiling some stuff, but they didn't win, thank God. But let's go to Rabbi Kook. To summarize what Rav Kook wrote, we're not going to touch everything that he said there, but what is the Talmud? What is the Talmud? A book, a big book. I can show you the set of the Talmud I have in my office. I can show you later. It's quite a big book.
It's like the gathered commentaries of the rabbis who commented on the Mishnah, on like the gathering of all the halachic points.
Okay. So by the way, how many Talmuds we have?
2.
We have 2. We have the one from Jerusalem. Actually, it's not from Jerusalem. It's mostly from the north of Israel, but it's called the Talmud Yerushalmi. And we have the Babylonian Talmud, right? And the main one that we used to study it's the Babylonian Talmud. And the interesting thing is that it gathers a lot of discussion and argues between the different sages of Torah. It's very hard to find a place in the Talmud when Talmud, and you need to act like this. So you have many of those discussions, but when the time comes to, okay, so tell me what to do, nothing. Nothing there. You have a lot of different legends and stories and traditions in the Talmud. It's a big book, and in a way we can say that it got canonized. It became a canon for Jews, and till this day our halacha, the Jewish law, coming out of the Talmud. But you have two ways how to get it from the Talmud, because the Talmud itself doesn't tell you what to do.
What?
No. Because what to do here in Germany in the winter when you have snow, or what to do in Spain, it's different types of what to do, because we're living in different places. When to start to pray, when not. With the food, in hot places you have more insects, so you need to be more careful with the food, and yeah, right. Also, to live under the church or under the mosque, it's two different realities. During the Talmud, you didn't have. During the Talmud, what you had? You had you had Christianity and you had pagans, right? You didn't have Islam. So what do? So there are two ways to adopt halacha, law, Jewish law from the Talmud, and this is what we're going to talk about now, because it's going also to touch the question about Sephardic and Ashkenazic Jews. And just to understand that the word for law in Hebrew, halacha, coming from the word lalechet, from the word to walk the walk, to walk the talk, walk the talk. This is what halacha is. It's something that moves with us. There are things that will never change. There are things that can change because we are in different places. This is what is halacha. We said that the way to study the Talmud, there are two ways to study it. You have the critical way of studying it, which, you have this opinion and that opinion, they disagree, and I have a set of rules to understand which opinion I take to practice in my life. Very simple. I need to know a lot. I need to know all the books to know who is not agreeing with who and who is agreeing with who. And then there are set rules to how I get the tachlis, right? In Hebrew, the tachlis, the practice. And we see it with the Geonim, right, till about the 11th century, after the Talmud, right? So Talmud, the Jerusalem Talmud ends, the ending to write it around the end of the 4th century, and then century after it, the Babylonian Talmud, and after that it's the Rishonim, the Geonim, and then the Rishonim till around the 11th century. You see mainly this, and it also what considered to be the Sephardic way of studying the Talmud. You have the way of in Hebrew we say pilpul from the word pepper, right? Like black pepper, to add spice to something, to spice it up. And to study it, you say no, they are not actually, those sages are not arguing. Those are talking about night and those talking about day. They are both right, and we need to figure out how. Also with a very specific set of rules how to do that. The beautiful thing is that, it's more Ashkenazic way. We see it with the Baalei Tosafot, sages, Jewish sages that used to live mainly in Provence, right? Today's France and Germany. And but in core issues, both get to the same conclusion. It's a beautiful thing that we see. And actually in the Talmud itself, we see both ways of studying. And Rav Kook is saying that in order to get a synthesis, to synthesize something, you need first of all to have anti-synthesis, right? The dialectic way. It's from some opposites or from a clash, eventually you will get something whole. So Rav Kook is saying that we need both ways, as it was in the Talmud. Therefore, actually, in a spiritual way, the fact that Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews went through different ways, eventually to come all together, something that actually we see more and more in Israel, right? So, in that sense, okay. The Chida, Rabbi Chaim David Yosef Azulai, used to say that he wrote it that Sephardic Jews are the right column, or Chesed, mercy, and it's connected with Islam as well, living under Islam mainly. Ashkenazi Jews are the left column, or Din, judgment, and it's also connected with Christianity. Okay, anyway. Long story short, all Jews coming from the Levant. We are not Europeans, we are not Asians, and not Africans. Even Avraham Avinu, that we say coming from Babylon's, oh, so we are Asians. No, he got there out of the Levant. His parents, his ancestors of Abraham, came from the Levant there, and so Avram is coming back home actually. He's the first Zionist, if you didn't know. The first one to go back to Zion. So, if we are all Jews from the Levant, how come some Ashkenazi Jews more white, Sephardic Jews more tan, brown, you have black Jews, what's going on? So of course you can say, Giyu, many people become Jews. No, it's not true. Not many. Because for too long it was a risk to lose your head to become a Jew. For in Islam, till this day, you need to know, a person who accepted Islam and after that he said, no, I don't want to be Muslim anymore, by the laws of the Sharia, it's death. Historically, but also the church used to do that. If a Christian used to say, I want to become a Jew, some churches used to kill the person. So did you have a Giyu? Did you have other people that took a Giyu and to become a Jew? Yes, but not as many. The second thing, not to forget, all the wars that we went through. And I mean, in Europe, for example, everybody suffered from the wars. The Jews just suffered twice because both sides used to kill the Jews. But everybody suffered the wars. But all the rape and everything that used to happen. For example, in Yemen, why they used to have the tradition that brides, 6 years old, 7 years old, why? They didn't really live together. But because if there's a girl and she's not married, so the Muslim neighbor used to take her. So to protect the daughters, they used to marry them as they 5, 6 years old. So nobody will steal them because they're married. What to do? So, also not to forget that exile of 2,000 years, it's a lot of time to go into how we look and the differences. But the DNA is you don't have any doubt. No doubt. Now, Judaism is by the mother. In Hebrew, mother it's ima or em, aleph mem, aleph. Nation in Hebrew, Uma, Aleph, Vav, Mem, He. Ima, Uma. Our nation coming from the mother. In Russian there is a saying, motherhood is a fact, fatherhood is an opinion. This is what they say, that if the child looks like the father, it's a big blessing. Because otherwise, how do you know who's the father? We studied about Avraham and Yitzchak. When Yitzchak born, Sarah and Abraham, they are really old. So they used to say, oh, Sarah slept with somebody else. But Yitzchak was a copy of his father. No questions. Okay? So Judaism is by the mother. From what tribe I am? Am I from the tribe of Judea, of Yehuda, or the tribe of Levi, which means today that I'm a Levi or a Kohen? It's by the father. So a Levi or a Kohen, for their kids to continue to be Levi or Kohen, they need to marry a Jewish woman. She can be a Jewish woman, she can be a Levi or of a family of Kohens. Doesn't matter. They're all Jews today. Yeah. Also in traditions, we go by the father. The father, Ashkenazic or Sephardic, this is the traditions, mainly what will happen at home. Even inside Ashkenazic Jews, for example. So you have Hasidic and you have Litvaks with different orientations. What do? By the father, usually. In Israel today, you see many that are doing a mix, and okay, we'll take from here, from there, but now we're going to see it. And another thing to know, in Israel you had more Ashkenazic Jews than Sephardic Jews. Because under the Islam world, we're talking about around million and a half Jews. In Europe, before the Second World War, we're talking about 10 million Jews, right? Give or take. So it also, of course, okay. Between Sephardic and Ashkenazic Jews, the synagogue is almost the same synagogue. So yeah, right. So in Ashkenazic shuls, many times the woman will sit where? Second floor. Sephardic, mostly it will be the same floor, and you have a wall with big windows that are open, and so when the Torah goes out, the woman can even touch the Torah and kiss it. Great, why not? But again, you have the mechitza, you have the difference between men and women. You have difference with the names, but also the names, for example. So the Ashkenazic have Aryeh Leib, which is the same, Leib from Lev, it's a Leo. And Aryeh in Hebrew, it's also a Leo. And the one in France, they will call their kids Leon Aryeh. Leon, it's also a Leo, right? So in that sense, okay, so you have different names. It's fine. With food in Pesach, for example, so Sephardic Jews, they eat kitniot. So Sephardic Jews can eat, for example, rice or lentil in Pesach. Ashkenazim do not eat it. So when I come, for example, to be a guest of Sephardic Jews in Pesach, it's a little bit a problem, because I cannot eat it. It is kosher, but I cannot eat it. Inside Ashkenazi communities, if you're Chassid or Litvak, there's also a difference, because a Litvak will eat matzah ball, gebrocht, but the Chassid would not eat it. For this, in diaspora, you have the 8th day of Pesach, so you call each other because then it's okay. But when in Israel, it's not a holiday anymore. So, but it's different. It's small differences. Now, if the wife is Ashkenazic and she married a Sephardic Jew, she will be able to eat rice and in Pesach, for example, because they're going by the husband or by the father. Anyway, clothes. So today you see Orthodox Jews. It's the way they dress. It's Ashkenazic way. It's European way, and you have different Orthodox because they come from different places in Europe. Even the Sephardic Jews that now call themselves also Orthodox, they took Ashkenazic way of they don't need it. It's not said in Torah, because Jews in Morocco look like Moroccans, and Jews in Babylon looks like Iraqi, like Iraqi. And the one in Europe depends where you are, right? So okay.
I have a question. Why is it so when I eat meat, I wait 6 hours? When a Sephardic Jew eats meat, he waits 3 or 4 hours. Why?
Many will wait 6. No, for example, in Amsterdam, there are communities that are waiting for 3 hours. By halacha, it's more complicated, because by halacha, it's actually if you have 2 different meals. So actually, you had a table, and then you moved it, and you put a new table. There is a reason why we got into 6 hours or the 6th hour, and so on and so forth. Not our subject today.
No.
Okay, but many today, also Ashkenazic and Sephardic will.
From biological, it makes more sense because you need more time to digest the meat. It's not so.
But hard cheeses also you need to wait. After milk you don't need, but hard cheese, like a good camembert or like a blue cheese, you better wait also. Anyway, we know it's already study halacha. We can do a whole lesson about it. Not our topic today. Okay. The biggest difference between Ashkenazic and Sephardi Jews. Are you ready? Okay, because it's going to be a surprise, at least for some. The biggest difference between Ashkenazic and Sephardic Jews is enlightenment. The enlightenment in Europe. When it happened? Which century? Plus minus. 17th. I know that you know it. I just said it out loud. Some would say it started in the 16th century. The 17th century enlightenment, the progress of our physical world and science and so on. And this progress, the Jewish enlightenment happens a century later, around the 18th century. And one of the phases of it, it started just before the emancipation of Jews. How you say it in English?
Emancipation.
Emancipation, thank you. Emancipation of Jews. It happened just before that. The face of it can be Moshe Mendelssohn, which was what you will call today Orthodox Jew, and used to say, be a Jew at home and be a non-Jew out of your house. And be a man outside your house. Right? It's a joke that we say that he said to be not a Jew. He was a Jew. He was a proud Jew. He knew a lot. He was a very smart person, and he lived by the halakha. There's letters of him in Kant, if I remember correctly, and so on. And during this time, there is a reaction to that because this enlightenment that touched the Jewish life. Many rabbis were very educated, but you see that people start to look for, okay, can I be like others, like the Christians? Or can I become a Christian? So they start a reaction to this enlightenment. This is what we call today the Jewish orthodoxy. So the Orthodox Jew, it's a new thing. It's a reaction to enlightenment, not to reform. Reformed Jews would happen around the 19th century, starting in Germany, and it moves to the States. They're becoming big, and also in the States it will divide into two, into reforms and into conservatives, right? But really the part of the reform they tried to move Shabbat on Sunday to become a church, basically a Jewish church, if you want to call it. Those one didn't survive, but in that sense, yeah. In Germany, I think 18th century, most of Jews already didn't really live by halakha. So the Orthodoxy, it's a reaction to the Enlightenment, not to reform. The reform movement start later. Also here, for example, the Reform community in Hanover. In Germany, I don't know why they call themselves the liberal communities, but it's a Reform communities. So in Hanover, they established in 95. Before that, everybody used to be here in this synagogue, all together. Okay. So Mendelssohn is the face of Enlightenment, trying to be a Jew with the Enlightenment and be part of the society. And in his time, the Rabbi Sofer, Moshe Sofer, the Khatam Sofer, is starting basically the movement against it, closing up Judaism, go to the bunkers, if you would like. This is what we call today the Orthodox Jews. And eventually, how we know who won or who was right, Mendelssohn or Rabbi Sofer, who was right?
Both.
No. How do we know? Because Mendelssohn, I think he had 4 sons. Only one of them married a Jewish woman, so he had only one. 3 of them went to Christianity. One stayed a Jew. He had only one grandson that he was Jew, and that's it. After that, no Jews. The family of Rabbi Sofer, half of Bnei Brak in Israel today, it's his descendants. So who won? Who was right? In that sense, we know that the Torah came to correct the world. In order to do that, we need first of all to survive. Rabbi Sofer survived. Okay, but in that sense also, if you go to, he was an Orthodox Jew. Back then, you go to the big rabbis, you ask them, are you Orthodox? What? Aristo was Orthodox, I guess, because it was Greek, right? Because the word Orthodox is a Greek word. Or at some point it became a Christian word. of the one who goes the right path. So today you have Orthodox Jews, but in that sense, I'm a Jew. I have the traditions, I have halakha, I'm trying to follow it. Am I Ashkenazi, Sephardic? No, I'm a Jew. Point. That's it. That's it. Sephardic Jews didn't went through this enlightenment that we see in Europe. And when it already got there, it was later, much later, in the 19th century, so they couldn't take to see what happened with the Ashkenazic and know what not to do. You see, till this day, Sephardic Jews, so the importance of a family and community is unbelievable. In that sense, a Sephardic Jew that is not observant, Friday night before the club, he will do kiddush.
It's true.
He will do kiddush. He will eat kosher. He doesn't know why, because this is what we do, because we are Jews. So they are much more traditional in that way. They don't have all those divisions that we Ashkenazic Jews have. As my teacher, Rabbi Uri Sherki, that his father is Sephardic Jew, his mother is Ashkenazi Jew, he used to say, it's unbelievable, interesting, and fascinating Ashkenazic drama. It's Ashkenazic drama. It's not a Sephardic. It's not a Sephardic one, right? I'm a Jew. That's it. So of course that our community, we don't say it because we have a big mix, because most of us, we didn't grow up in tradition, so we're coming back to it. So we have a beautiful mix in the synagogue. But in Israel, for example, in places that are more religious, so Sephardic synagogues will be much more mashups, religious, not religious, tradition, than the Ashkenazi that usually are much more. Okay? So again, it depends, but we see the roots and where it goes. Rabbi El-Kalai, huge sage, Sephardic sage in Europe, used to, he much before Herzl, he was the one of those that created the movement that today we call it the Zionic movement. Right? Rabbi El-Kalai, a big Torah scholar, and he used to say that Sephardic, Ashkenazi, Hasidic, Litvak, it's actually idol worshipping. It's idol worshipping. It's a disease from the long exile, and we need to go back to Israel, and in Israel to become one nation with one tradition to stop it, to start to live the Torah of Israel. For this we need the Sanhedrin and so on and so forth, but in Israel, step by step, you do see it. That Sephardic and Ashkenazic start to marry. It's a slow process. You had asked, so how we call it? Rabbinate Judaism? No, I'm a Jew, period. We have halakha. Again, Judaism is not a religion. Judaism, it's ethnicity, it's my nationality. Yes, we have religious component. We cannot play with it. We cannot do it whatever we want. Oh, I went to sleep too late, so I will change it because it's not comfortable. It doesn't work this way. It held us for 2,000 years of exile. Do you see any other ethnic group that came back home? Even less than 2,000 years? No one. You have 40 million Kurds that cannot go back home. Think about it. It's insane. So in that sense, step by step, going back to that. So to my ethnicity, to my nation, to keep my nation alive by the marriage and the kids and the traditions. And okay, even if I went away from the traditions or my family went, but still kept myself a Jew, great. To study, to practice more, step by step. And yes, eventually, okay, which rabbi are you? Or what rabbi are you? So eventually, if I need to say, because you or this or that, so of course it's Orthodox rabbi, but I hate the word Orthodox. It's not a Jewish word, I'm sorry. Those past 250 years didn't convince me that we are Orthodox Jews. But I'm a Jew. I put my effort to live by halakha, by the Shulchan Aruch. Yes, of course. And we can do that. No problem. Thank God. Baruch Hashem. So it's in our hands to continue with our marriage and with our kids and the traditions that we take, and step by step. That's great. And hopefully, sooner than later, to go to Israel. Not to wait till this a land that under it you have gunpowder will blow up, because it will at some point. You have already today countries in Europe that by demography, that's it. In the next 30, 50 years, there are Muslim countries. With Islam itself, you can talk. We had here Luay al-Sharif that I brought to the community, but you don't need many radicals to ruin it all, right? So let's go back home. Literally and also spiritually. In that sense, we see also as Sephardic Jews, you have much more of this ethnicity, of this cleanliness or purity and simplicity that you see less with Ashkenazi Jews, with everything we went through. So both groups have beautiful things to take from. And again, to understand, it's not two groups. We are so many, but eventually we need to come together. We are one nation. And this is in many ways, the Zionic movement, this is one of the greatest project, even though they didn't know about it. As Rav El-Kalai said, that is from the one to start the movement, to bring all of us back together as one nation. It doesn't matter. Sephardic, Ashkenazi, doesn't matter. The details we'll figure out. So the Ketubah, you write like this or like that. Or the songs, when I lead the prayer, I use different melodies. I take melodies from Hasidic and from Litvaks and from Sephardic. Why? Because it's fun. Why not? Questions?
I have a question. The Babylonian
Babylonian
of
Talmud.
English, Babylonischer Talmud.
Babylonian Talmud.
Yes. And Jerusalem Talmud. You can. Is a group from the Sephardic and is Ashkenazim?
Both study both.
Okay.
Mostly we study Babylonian. Hopefully more and more we'll study the Jerusalem one. But we study both. It's a canon for all Jews.
Okay.
As the Tanakh, right? Oh.
I'm not sure if it's the right place, but this whole enlightenment.
It's the right place. Maybe okay.
This whole Mendelssohn enlightenment, was this also like this when Baruch Spinoza had his?
It's later. No, it's religious Jews don't like him. I think he was a brilliant guy.
I think so.
One thing for sure he said was true, that we know what the Torah tells us when we live in our own land. He in many ways we can say that he said that the Torah need to be our declaration of independence. Anyway, but also Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote it. We know what the Jews have to tell us when they will have their own land to live in. Yeah, Jean-Jacques Rousseau wrote it a little bit. So anyway, but Spinoza, was he right? In some things, yes, but no. Yeah, but yeah.
But another question, what do you think about that when you say that Europe will be Islamic in 30, 40 years? What do you think about that?
No, I said that some countries probably sooner, not all of them. Again, parts of Europe used to be Islamic, right? Spain and the Balkans used to be Muslims, and then Christians took it back. I'm not a prophet, I don't know.
Neutral.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here with me. Спасибо, что всем, кто пришли. Спасибо всем, кто были с нами которые не в Германии, были с нами на Zoom.